I'd like to call to order the February 2nd, 2023 Vision Zero Advisory Committee meeting. Staff, if you can, please call the roll so we can establish a quorum.
At this time, I'm only asking those VZAC members attending in person to respond by saying "here" when I call your name. I want to remind you to unmute your microphones by pushing the button on the base prior to responding. The light at the top will turn red. Alternates, please also state your name if you are attending on behalf of a VZAC representative. Tracy Phelps.
Here.
Bruce Rosenzweig.
Here.
Craig Pinder.
Here.
Ted Goodenough. I'll grab you in a second. Joan Oliva.
Here.
Joanne Scaria.
Here.
Fadi Nassar.
Here.
JC Beery.
Here.
David Willich.
Here.
Jean Matthews.
Here.
Bruce Goyton.
Here.
Michael Owens. Christian Santa Gonzalez.
Here.
Wabette Hay.
Here.
City of Delray Beach, or their alternate Amy Alvarez is absent. John Roach.
Here.
And Chair Thoburn is absent today.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to modifications to the agenda. Staff, are there any modifications?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the following members are requesting VZAC permission to participate remotely, and they have joined us online. Michael Owens due to staffing shortages at the school district, and Ted Goodenough due to ride scheduling.
Okay, thank you. VZAC members, are there any objections to allowing these members to participate remotely? No, see none. These members are approved to participate remotely. Amanda, if you can please note their attendance in the minutes.
Yes, sir.
We will move on to motion to approve the minutes for December 8th, 2022. Are there any changes to the minutes? I did have one comment under item 2A. It says motion to elect offices. I believe that's supposed to say officers. So if you can just reflect that change. Are there any other changes? If not, can I have a motion to adopt the minutes as presented?
Second.
Moved by Bruce and seconded by Joanne. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. We'll go into general public comments and public comments on agenda items. Instructions on how to provide public comments are included in the agenda. Staff, have we received any general comments?
There are none at this time.
All right, great. Thank you. We'll move to comments from the chair and member comments. At this time, I want to invite any VZAC member comments on items not already on the agenda. And for members participating remotely, please utilize the raise hand feature in Zoom platform. And then remember to unmute your microphone once you're recognized. Do we have any comments from VZAC members on non-agenda items? Okay, seeing none. We will go on to the VZAC liaisons report. I'll invite Valentina Ficus, VZAC liaison, to provide an update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good week so far. So before I get into the liaison report, just very quickly, I'd like to announce that yesterday we announced that the city of Green Acres, village of Wellington, city of West Palm Beach, city of Boca Raton, and Palm Beach County have been awarded the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. So congratulations to those 4 municipalities in Palm Beach County. Moving on to the liaison report. So as many as you know may not know, or may or may not know, today is the Safe Street Summit and tomorrow. I hope all of you all can make it. We would like to extend our congratulations to the city of Westlake for adopting a Vision Zero resolution. That's 12 of our 39 municipalities that have adopted a resolution. So congratulations to them. The U.S. Department of Transportation will be hosting a webinar February 8th from 3 to 4 p.m. on some funding opportunities. If you can attend, be great. Also, FDOT will also be hosting informational session on some funding opportunities. And that's going to be in person in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. TPA staff will be attending in person February 16th. We'll be hosting a TPA governing board meeting February 16th at 9 a.m., as you all may know. And we have the upcoming TPA annual funding program application due February 17th at 5 p.m. So please make sure you have your application in on time. And if you have any questions regarding TA, I can help you with that. So March, very exciting. March is Florida Bicycle Month. We will be hosting a webinar on March 7th on safe bicycling. I will be presenting on that, and I'll give you all more details later on. And we'll also be hosting our annual bike ride on March 31st, and you can register for that at palmbeachtpa.org/events. Oh, that's okay. We will also, or the TPA has the draft 2023 public participation plan, which is available for public review and feedback through March 16th. So for that, you can visit palmbeachtpa.org/PPP. And a workshop will be held on February 24th from 9 to 11 a.m. To review board and committee responsibilities. And for that, you can register at palmbeachtpa.org/training. Last but not least, you can now save the date for our upcoming workshops. We're going to have a Complete Streets workshop, very exciting, the morning of March 24th, and a Vision Zero workshop morning of April 28th. So please save the date for that. And that concludes my liaison report.
Okay. Thank you, Valentina. Staff, are there any public comments on this item?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Do any committee members have any comments or questions on the liaison report?
Is the Complete Street and Vision Zero workshops going to be online too?
We do not have all of the details for that yet. That is yet to come, but as of now, it's going to be in person. We're going to try to do hybrid, but as of now, it's in person.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from committee members? If you can just remember to email that out to the board members, that'd be greatly appreciated after the meeting. Just that way we have that and can share that with our respective constituents. Thank you. So if nothing else for the liaison report, we'll move on to action items. 2A, which is a motion to recommend adoption of Transportation Improvement Program Amendment number 3 to fiscal year 2023 to 2027 by Andrew, Deputy Director of TPA, to present this item.
Hello, good morning, everyone. So this is the third amendment for the Transportation Improvement Program. This is our 5-year funding of transportation products, federal and state grant funding in Palm Beach County. Today we have 3 products for you. One is a change to a current project in the program, local initiatives project. And then the other 2 are new additions, FDOT requests to be added to the Transportation Improvement Program for fiscal year 23. So when is a TIP amendment needed? It's really for larger scale changes to the TIP. It's to add or delete a project. It's a large cost increase, or it's also a lot of changes to scope, such as large length changes. And then also if there's a major change in scope when it comes to the amount of through lanes. It could be a change to the product phase initiation date. And as a reminder, this is only impacting the products in the amendment and no other TIP product that's currently programmed. So it's just these 3 that you're looking to have amended today. So the first product is a local initiatives project that's in Delray Beach. And the proposed changes for this product are to change the location of the project in the description of that, and then also the length change. These are actually just both clerical errors that we had in the initial FDOT work program that carried over to the transportation improvement program as well. So the original description only provided the termini from Lindell Boulevard, starting at Southwest 10th Avenue, going down to Federal Highway. But the full length of the project is actually from, it includes Southwest 10th Avenue from Linton all the way down to Lindell, and then includes all of Lindell down to South Dixie Highway. So that's an update to the location. We're also providing a map for you on the screen that highlights that. Next is the change to the length, going from 0.58 miles to 1.3 miles. And really, again, that's just a change to accommodate what the true length is. And then lastly, there is a funding increase in federal funds for reimbursement on the project. So the total cost you'll see in the amendment is actually the same total cost for the project. I believe it's around $9 million. But there's more money available in fiscal year 23 to put towards this project, to have more of that federal reimbursement of funding. So that lessens the amount the locals have to pay on the project. So there's an additional 2.4 that is able to go towards this project for that. The next two are FDOT requests. The first is a statewide rumble strips. This is actually statewide. There's going to be projects throughout the state. And this is really just for this project, it's focusing on both Broward and Palm Beach County's portion of that. And this is putting design funds in fiscal year 2023 of $75,000 for those. So those are rumble strips on some of the major high-speed roadways. And lastly, the third project for you, another new one, is Palm Tran 5310 operating assistance. So the 5310 funds, which are FTA funds, are used towards transportation services to meet the special transportation needs of seniors and individuals with disabilities. So for Palm Tran, that's their paratransit service. This is an additional $50,000 of FTA Section 5310 funds towards that. And then it also includes the local match of that. So another $50,000 of local funds from Palm Tran. And really, that's all I have for you today. It's those three projects, and I can take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Any questions? We'll start with Jeannie.
What are the proposed improvements on Lindale? I know the bridge going over the C-15 canal is being done too.
Yep, we actually, there's an FDOT and TPA in the city of Delray and Boca all attended the Brant Bridge opening the other day, a ribbon cutting. I think they're opening a traffic Friday. So that's the portion that is off of Lindell. It follows, I believe, Avocet Road there in Collar Boltwell Drive. And that's the canal you see there. For this specific project for Lindell Boulevard and Southwest 10th, it's including sidewalks on both sides of the roadway and then some sort of separated bicycle facility. The original proposal had them in the same location. It was designated differently, right? So it'd be a very large shared use path on both sides with sidewalks and then a separate designation for bike lanes in that same shared use path. I haven't seen the most recent concept out there, but it is separated facilities, so wider sidewalks and also inclusion of bike lanes.
Okay, thank you, Jean. And before we get to Fadi, were there any public comments on this item? Amanda?
No, Mr. Chair.
Fadi?
Again, on the Lindell project, the federal funding was increased by about 25%, which is great. Could you provide a little bit more explanation? How did we were able to get more federal funding? Can we do the same thing on other projects?
Sure. There actually are projects. I don't know if that one is the one that really triggered the amendment portion of it, but there's other projects that have received more funding throughout. So the way we approach it is there was there was additional funds that came in from the new federal bill, right? So we had increases for that. And from that, that's over the next 5 years, starting back in like 2021. So 22. So 22 and 23 both received more influx of funds as well. Unfortunately, a lot of cost increases led to most of this trying to redistribute those new funds towards these kind of projects. And we were able to do that. The way we give it to FDOT is we have our priority list for transportation alternatives and local initiatives. And if you see cost overruns, work with the locals on trying to get more reimbursed for their projects if it's a reimbursable expense. And so it has been sort of sifted throughout a lot of communities. For example, Palm Beach County, their A1A project where it has the pedestrian signals that and crosswalks received more funds. Lions Road separated bike lanes received more funds. A few other ones as well. Those are two off my top of my head.
Any other questions, comments? Amanda?
Yes, one of our virtual participants, if you can scroll up here. Ted does have his hand raised virtually, if you'd like to recognize him.
Yeah, go ahead, Ted.
Thank you. I'm excited to see the separation of walking path and bicycle path in Delray. That's very exciting. Mixed use paths are very dangerous, and nice to see some extra funds going to Palm Tran Connection.
Okay, thank you, Ted. And just to clarify, there is no design changes as part of these amendments, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And with the additional funds, does that free up funds that were previously allocated, or is this covering cost increases or?
For the Lindell one, it's not, it's still a total the same cost estimate. It's just, I think originally they only received $2.5 million in reimbursement. That was like the original request when this one was first submitted. I think that might have also been like what the cap was at the time. But now and then there was like $7 million in local funds. And so now it's a smaller portion of local funds that need to be on the project. So the same total cost estimate is the same one right now.
So it'll free up funds at the municipal level.
The municipal level,
Okay.
correct.
All right, great, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Oh, yep, Joanne.
You may not know the answer if this is an LI project submitted by Delray, but do you know why this project stopped at Dixie and didn't continue to federal?
Off the top of my head, I do not know. I know there is the rail line there, so maybe that was what they determined as like the logical termini for that. Maybe they had trouble with that sort of piece over the railroad. A lot of our communities have trouble with doing any work within another owner's right of way. So that might have been the reason for that one.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, I'll need a motion to recommend adoption of fiscal year 2023-2027 tip amendment number 3, and then I can open the floor to discussion.
I'll second.
Motion by Bruce.
I'll second the motion.
Did you second first? Okay. Sorry, Christian, you got beat. All right. All right, we have a motion by Bruce and a second by Bruce, right? Any further discussion? Any comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose?
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to item 2B, which is a motion to recommend adoption for the targets for federal performance measures. And we'll again invite Andrew for the presentation.
So with this one, the other action item for you today, this deals with setting updated targets for federal performance standards for you. Thank you. So this one for you today is setting updated targets for federal performance standards for a few measures. It is it could get a rather detailed in the conversation, and I can go pretty in depth when it comes to these measurements. I'm going to try to keep it high level, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. And if you have more information that you want afterwards, I can get that to you about how all these are measured and calculated. But with performance measures in our 2045 long-range transportation plan that we adopted back in 2019, we set a few performance measures, not just federal ones that we're required to adopt, but also local ones. When we categorize them by preserving the system, safe, efficient, connected, and multimodal. So to go with our vision. And so that full list of measures and their targets, and then sort of more of their updated data on those, were provided in the backup in the scorecard. There's also a website that we have that we try to maintain that has more information on all those measures, and that's at palmbeachtpa.org/PM. Today, I'm really just going to be going through the federal performance measures that we're required to set targets for. So the action today just covers those ones that we're setting targets for, and those are the ones that are in the draft resolution for you. So which ones are required to set for the federal ones? There's roadway safety, and that's required to be set annually. That's fatal and serious injuries. There's bridge condition, pavement condition, and then also system performance, which is travel time reliability. All three of those categories are on the national highway system, so our larger roadways within the county. Those were required to set 2- and 4-year targets. And then lastly, we'll come to in the future on these as well, but updated targets for transit safety and then transit asset management. So their rolling stock and their buses and their facilities. And those are also yearly targets that Palm Trans sets. And then we would set targets in line with them afterwards. So the way this really works is the federal government has these required performance measures, then the state sets their targets, and then metropolitan planning organizations such as ourselves are required to set targets 180 days afterwards. So going into the first performance measure, safety, we're required to set targets for number of fatalities, the rate of those fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, so VMT, number of serious injuries, the rate of those serious injuries, and then the total combined number of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. Just a little background about this target in the past. AFDOT had set a statewide target of 0, and they've done that for a few years as well. And then also the TPA, we have set a target annually as 0 as well, going from 2018 to 2022. Sorry, one second. Hey, Brian, give me some water. I only have coffee. It's not a good, good way to go. I'm sorry. I'm not sure that's going to help. So we've set targets annually for 0 from 2018 to 2022. Also, we had a TPA Vision 0 action plan that we updated in 2021, and we're working towards those as well. So the next slide, there's a lot of data on this slide, and I'll go through it slowly. And it covers fatalities, the fatality rate, the serious injuries, the serious injury rate, and then the non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. And we're showing all Palm Beach County data. There is more information in the backup when it came to in the resolution. You can see some of the statewide data as well. But we see the total average annually for those categories for 2012 to 2016, and then we're comparing it to more recent 5-year average of 2017 to 2021. And then I also provided just the preliminary data for 2022, what we're seeing out of Signal 4 Analytics. So this isn't the official AFDOT finalized data, but you can kind of see where we're trending. So for 2022. And then lastly, I mentioned our 2022 targets. Those were Vision 0, so 0 fatalities and serious injuries. And then a 2023 target of 0 from our staff perspective to recommend. So in this data, what it's really showing, we continue to go up in our fatalities and our fatality rate. Continue to grow, and 2022 is also looking like another dangerous year for Palm Beach County. And it was also for the state. So those trends continue to go up for us for both fatalities and fatality rate. Some good news is that our serious injury and serious injury rate has been decreasing a little bit. So we are seeing downward trends on that. And then our non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. So those are bicyclists and pedestrians. It has been trending upward a little bit, but it's actually staying a little bit flat on that. So that's, that's good in some ways, but it is still trending upward. So what the staff is recommending is for us to go forward with the same targets we've adopted last year, and then they'll also be in line with the state, and also be in line with what the TPA strives for with Vision Zero. And that's to set targets of 0 fatalities and serious injuries on our roadway network, with the premise that these lives can be saved, and that it's important to save every life. Next is bridge condition. This is one that is measured for a few parts of the bridge, and it's on a 1:9 scale. It includes the superstructure, the substructure, and the deck. On the screen is a picture of Southern Boulevard Bridge, which is one of the newer bridges, a major bridge over the Intercoastal Waterway here in Palm Beach County. That one's actually finishing up this year. That was one of the ones that actually before was one that was a one that was considered a bridge with a low standard and needed to be replaced. So for bridge condition, it's measured for the National Highway System bridges, and that is ones for good condition and the National Highway System bridges in poor condition. Our current values for good condition is 82%. And then our value for poor condition is 1.03%. So the one bridge right now that we have in poor condition based on these ratings is the one up in Jupiter. That's the US 1 bridge going over the Loxahatchee River. That's actually a project that is underway now, and will be complete in a few years here. So with that one, hopefully we get closer to 0. There's other ones. Obviously, we do have an aging bridge infrastructure throughout the state. So obviously additional ones come online, but there are a few other bridges that are in the works being planned to be replaced. The state has set targets of 50% or greater for good condition and 10% or less for poor condition. So you may see that those are conditions that are actually targets that are worse than our current condition for Palm Beach County, and that's the same thing for the statewide. So they have a lower target than what their current performance is indicating. And speaking with FDOT about this, and sort of like their analysis, these are the same targets they set last time around of 50% and 10%. But what they say is that we do have an aging infrastructure, and based on the investments that they can make, that they felt this was a conservative or a good approach for their targets. Also, because they're the ones who maintain this data, and they're the ones who really put a lot of money into the National Highway System infrastructure. We at the TPA have also recommended setting the same targets for, as FDOT. So a 2-year target of 50% or greater for good, and then for poor condition, it would also be 5% or less. Next is pavement condition, and that is a measure of a few different measures of pavement. It's a complicated way of doing it, different measures. I'm not going to go in detail about that. I don't totally understand myself, but it does measure roughness, rutting, faulting, and cracking. And the same setup as the last slide when it came to bridges I'm providing. It's the interstate pavement in good condition, the interstate pavement in poor condition, and then it's the non-interstate National Highway System for good and poor. And you can see the 2021 actual values for Palm Beach County. And then you could see the targets for FDOT statewide targets, and then what we recommend for the TPA. We're once again recommended to go with the FDOT targets on this measure for the same reason. So pavement is also one that's a lot of operations and maintenance is done by FDOT. They're the ones measuring this, and we're looking to stay consistent with the statewide targets. Our 2021 actual numbers for these measures are interstate pavement in good condition around 60%, no interstate pavement in poor condition, and then for our non-interstate National Highway System around 45% in good condition, and then 1.2% in poor. So based on that, we're for the most part better than our targets. One of them, interstate pavement in good condition, is less than our target, but we do have a lot of major interstate projects coming up here in Palm Beach County, so we should see that one go up here in the next few years. And the last measure is travel time reliability. This is for system performance. And travel time reliability basically means how reliable is your daily commute, is a way of putting it. So if you're thinking about your commute to work in the early mornings, so like a daily AM peak travel time, and your average daily commute takes you maybe 20 minutes on I-95. Well, if your other days throughout that, your commute over a year time frame are, let's say, up to 30 minutes instead of 20 minutes on I-95. So that's a 50% greater amount of time for travel. That would be considered an unreliable daily commute, is that 50% threshold. That's a simplified way of stating that. And your commute, varies by the day based on a lot of factors, right? Weather, traffic jams, car crashes, additional, a light could be out. So there's additional ways that your travel time could be unreliable. And this is trying to find a way of measuring that. So for system performance, same setup as the other tables, but this measures percent of reliable person miles traveled on the interstate system, person miles traveled on the non-interstate system, and then there's a truck travel time reliability ratio for the interstate. For 2021, our reliability on the interstate system is around 83%. And then for the non-interstate system, it is 97%. And then our truck travel time reliability ratio is 1.78. We then provide the statewide targets for those measures, and then the TPA targets. We're looking to stay consistent with the state targets on these. That's our recommendation as staff. And so we're recommended to adopt the statewide targets. The reason being is for the data that comes with this performance measure, the travel time reliability and gather that travel time data, FDOT has about 4 years of pre-pandemic level data from the vendor they're currently using, the same one throughout the nation. And so they felt they couldn't set new targets that were different than their old targets. And so they're staying pretty conservative with that as well. So they're setting the same targets they've had in the past. And that's what we're recommending as well, is to adopt the FDOT targets. This is the same sort of scenario when it came to bridges. So we are also showing on this one, our targets are lower standards or a lower performance than what our current performance is on these systems. But again, sticking with what FDOT stated about the data reliability at this time and not being able to set long-term trends, we're recommended to stick with the statewide targets. That's all I have for you. Thanks for listening in as I struggle through that. I can take any questions.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Before we get to questions, staff, are there any public comments on this item?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Do any committee members have any comments, questions? Fadi, you want to go first?
Thanks, Andrew. Do you want to show the slide about safety? My question is for fatalities. I know there's 2 ways of looking at it. One is number of fatal crash, and one is total number of fatalities. You can have 1 crash with 1 person dead or 5 persons dead. Which one you're using, and is this kind of the way is typically measured?
Yes, this is total fatalities, not fatal crashes.
Okay. My other question is about your objective and goals. If you want to go to maybe the first slide that you show.
This one?
Yeah, maybe the second one. I'm sorry, second one. Yeah, this one.
Okay.
About system performance, I know you mentioned about reliability, which is really important. But again, I mean, you can have a 5-mile commute with spending an hour on it every day, but it's very reliable. why is not mobility kind of, your travel time, why is not part of an important criteria? Because your objective is to improve your travel time in addition to reliability, and usually they're connected.
Mhm. No, it's a good point. This one, these are the federal ones that they set, right? So this is the one that every single urbanized area and state throughout the country is measuring the exact same way when it comes to system performance on this one specifically. But you are correct. There's other ways of measuring it. We've sort of gotten away from like a more traditional way of measuring it when it comes to just overall travel or the travel time speeds on the roadway system to try to integrate more of a way of figuring out other ways of approaching congestion. So thinking about like what you do at the county when it comes to signal timing, right? Or other types of smart technology that can really help with travel time reliability that doesn't always get at overall travel speed. So it's really been more of a trend to get away from speed as the factor when it comes to travel time and more towards reliability. But you are correct that there's ways of measuring that, and we are kicking off our 2050 long range plan. So those discussions can happen again as we set new goals. So.
Okay, thank you, Fadi. Jean?
Can we go back to the safety slide? And my question is, what do you think, why are the trends? I mean, when you add in 3 or 4 people or whatever, the numbers will show that they're going in the wrong direction. Why do you think we have these trends in the wrong direction?
Sure. I haven't looked at many of the like research on this from a high level. I'm not sure, Brian, do you want to touch if you can? But I can say a few things. One would be, we talked about last time we were here about, we had less cars on the roadway during the pandemic. And so you had the ability to move faster, more quickly on the roadway with less congestion. And maybe you also had drivers out there who may have been in a state like be more reckless in their daily driving. And so you'll see like more intensity of crashes go up with higher speed. So that might be one indicator, like through the pandemic at least. Other ones is, just high level. It's the hard one to measure, but our built environment here is a tough one. And that's true for a lot of the major areas throughout the United States that are experiencing major issues with fatalities. It's a lot of more of those Sunbelt states or those ones that have sort of developed post World War II, right? So those ones who've built more like in a suburban environment, who are still rapidly growing and trying to fit in a lot of different development along major roadways. And so when you have these high-speed roadways next to roadways that are trying to gain more access to surrounding businesses, it's just a bad place to be. It's really tough, a lot of conflict areas, and trying to mitigate that is really tough. So that's another sort of built environment reasoning for it. Brian, I don't know if you want to add anything else about any other reasons.
Yeah, so I would also just to close out, Brian Ruscher. Just a note, this is a national trend. It's based on, all of our roadways are based off of the same design manuals. I think the natural increase of population in Florida, you're going to see a natural increase in the fatalities just as we continue to grow and we don't change our roadways to have better designs for people to do a reasonable design, follow a reasonable design speed, offer more transportation options, and also just generally be more courteous on the roadways. So, this is a national problem. It's not just unique to us, but we all follow the same design manuals pretty much throughout the country. So, as the population increases, our fatalities are going to increase unless we start changing our mindset around our roadway systems.
And that was, while we're on the screen, I mean, that was going to be some of my comments of, it's concerning that 3 out of our 5 safety measures are going in the wrong direction and have been for some time. And when we're setting these goals of 0, to have them going in the wrong direction doesn't look good. And so I hope we seriously take a look at why the trend is happening the way that it is, whether it's nationally, rather there's stuff locally. regionally, population, whatever, those various things and what needs to be done to get closer to our goal as a part of the, as opposed to further away from our goal. So, I hope that's the next step of this is to truly analyze why the numbers have been going in that direction and what we can do to reverse it. Because otherwise, if we were to write a report card for ourselves, it's, doesn't look very good. So, Bruce, you have any comments? If you can turn your mic on, please. Thank you.
For the non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries, those are incidents that have no motor vehicle involved at all. Is that correct?
Those are all motor vehicle involved. Yep. So the way,
I'm sorry, it says non-motorized?
I'm sorry, but yes, so these crashes are the ones that get reported in the database are typically ones that involve a motor vehicle. And so for the one non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries, my apologies there, but it's pedestrian bicyclists most likely hit by a car, by a
Okay.
vehicle.
Yeah, I was a little hard pressed to imagine over 200 injuries and fatal. Well, I can imagine fatalities, but not, injuries, but not fatalities. Okay. Yeah, and as to the fatality and injury rates, are those separately discerned based on the type of roadway that it's on? Whether it's 4 or 6 lane highway, roadway, or just a 2 lane, or what they differentiate the reasons based on what types of roads these are taking place on?
Sure, and I think Brian wants to add to this. Yeah, you can take it, Brian.
We recently started our new crash analysis quarterly reports. If you look at our agenda, you'll see the last quarterly report, which was presented, I believe, last month, not last month, but December. And then this quarterly report does look at more closely the context classification for the roadways, the number of lanes, the posted speed limit for our serious injuries and fatalities for bicyclists and pedestrian crashes. So I'd strongly encourage you to look at those. Look at the maps that we've generated. We know that these crashes are happening in a very concentrated part of the concentrated geographic area in the county. We know that these crashes are happening disproportionately. I believe it's at intersections for pedestrians and mid-block for cyclists. So this is something to look at more closely as we get towards our annual wrap up for our data. I believe that we're going to present the 2022 final report in April. We'll have more specific recommendations about corridors to look at and analyze for the next fiscal year. But again, that's a reactive approach and not necessarily a proactive approach to look at these things. Some communities have started looking at things like predictive crash analyses, which require a very intense data analysis, but it is something that we can look at closer for our next strategic plan for the TPA. So, thank you.
Anything else, Bruce? One thing I did notice is that the numbers you had in your presentation varied slightly from what was in the report card. I think just looking at the safety ones, for example, they were only off by like 1 or 2, but there was a discrepancy there. So I don't know if additional information was obtained since the background went out or why those numbers are changing.
That's a good point. In the back, the scorecard, we pulled the numbers right before we sent out the agenda packet. So if the 2022 number changed, that might be why.
Yeah.
If it was any of the numbers before that, then that's an error. So
Okay.
I'll go
No,
back
it was
and check.
it was the 2022 that I noticed.
Okay, yep. So I might have pulled that on Monday. This is 2 days ago. So the ones you're seeing on the screen are updated since Monday.
David?
I was just curious, since we're talking safety and accidents, this would be a good discussion to have law enforcement here. We had talked for the last 3 years about, getting a PBSO officer on this committee. I was wondering if there's been any luck.
I know we've been reaching out to them. Do we have any leads on that? I guess Brian or Monty.
We we are trying really hard to get someone appointed to this committee. We've been exchanging emails for the past few months with law enforcement officials, both current and retired, about the prospect of coming onto the committee to provide that perspective, but we haven't been successful up to this point. So if you know of a law enforcement officer who might be interested and capable of coming downtown and serving in a similar capacity to what you can, please provide those to Amanda, and we'll be happy to follow up with them.
It was interesting because I think I saw on PBSO's social media that they just posted about these trends and that, educating drivers and so forth was going to be one of their efforts. So
Sure. And I think it's
it was
important.
just interesting timing in which we're
Right.
talking about this, that they posted the same information.
And to look at, what those numbers are and the difference in the officers who are out doing the motor vehicle patrol and the officers who are kind of doing the background analysis and looking at these things, they're not exactly one and the same, and they're not necessarily always communicating with one another. And so that's another challenge that we've kind of looked at too, is having, who can help us provide like that type of technical and policy level analysis that we expect from our committees to advise the TPA on. So.
Tyler, you have another question?
Yeah, I just want to say, me and Michael Owens from the school board, we serve on two other committees. One is about school traffic safety and one is about OCR. And they both have participation from the sheriff's office, and it's very, very beneficial to have them.
Would you provide us the contact information for those either liaisons or police officers from those committees? That'd be helpful.
Sure.
Thank you, Patty.
Get them to serve on another committee. Okay, any other comments or questions? Anything from our virtual participants?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, I will look for a motion. Motion by Bruce,
Seconded?
second by Jean. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. So that will move us to item 3A, which is Florida Bicycle Month. So I'll invite Valentina to present this item.
All right. Good morning again, everybody. This is really exciting, Florida Bicycle Month. So as you may or may not know, Florida Bicycle Month is in the month of March. So typically what this looks like is we'd like to encourage everyone to just showcase the many benefits that cycling has, educate the public on the bicycle state laws, and as transportation professionals in the field to highlight the best practices when it comes to designing protected bicycle facilities. So here are 4 different ways of how you can get involved for Florida Bicycle Month. The first one is to adopt a proclamation. As you may or may not know, the TPA actually adopts a proclamation every single year and encourages all municipalities to do the same. We also have a couple events and activities coming up. The first one is a webinar. Then we have our annual TPA group ride along with other activities. So all of the municipalities and agencies that you see on the screen before you are the ones that adopted a proclamation as of last year. For this year, we encourage all municipalities to adopt a proclamation as well. And our goal for that is to have at least 15. So please do that. We do have a sample proclamation attached on the agenda packet that you can use for this effort. If you need help modifying the language for that, I can help with that. The flyers that you see on the screen are some of the activities that have been hosted in the past for Florida Bicycle Month. We know that the city of West Palm Beach usually does a bike to work week. The village of Palm Springs also does some activities, as well as Palm Beach County. So if your municipality or Palm Beach County has any upcoming activities for Florida Bicycle Month, please do let us know so that we can promote those events. So speaking of events, we have our first event, a live webinar Tuesday, March 7th on safe bicycling, where I will be presenting on the many benefits of using your bicycle and going over some of the bicycle state laws and all of that. So for that, you can register at palmbeachtpa.org/events. Then it is our annual TPA group ride. So that will be March 31st. We do encourage everyone to please get there at 7:30 in the morning because we will be kicking off at 8 in the morning. So be there at 7:30 in the morning to check in, sign all the liability forms. We will be starting at the TPA headquarters, making our way through downtown West Palm Beach and then going back to the TPA office. It's approximately a 3.2 mile ride, about 30-minute ride. So for that, you can register at palmbeachtpa.org/events. And that concludes my presentation. Can take any questions at this time.
Before we get to questions or comments, any public comments on this item?
Not at this time.
No, okay. Any committee member comments? David, I believe you were up first.
I was just curious, do you guys still have rental bikes down here? If you wanted to participate in that with a rental bike?
Yes, there are the Bright Bikes. You can rent the Bright Bikes. Mhm.
Bruce?
Will you accept the proclamation from our bike club?
Sure.
Any other questions, comments? And this is-
We do have a virtual participant, Ted, raising his hand.
Go ahead, Ted.
Just wondering if anyone has a tandem, they'd like somebody on the back. I can't take the captain's seat, but I wouldn't mind helping.
Okay, thank you, Ted.
Ted. Anyone else? And this is just an informational item, so no motion needed. Okay, thank you, Valentina. Item number 4 on the agenda is administrative items. Items 4A through 4E are informational only. So there's no staff presentations unless requested by a committee member. Staff, are there any public comments on any of the informational?
Not at this time.
All right. And I believe that's it. Our next VSAC meeting is scheduled for March 2nd, 2023. So any last minute comments? No?
Will we be scoring the TE applications this year? And will there be a scoring meeting?
I'm sorry, you said the TE or the TA? Did you mean?
TA.
Okay, the TA. Who will be scoring it? So
Um,
I will be providing a presentation April of this year, where you will, all this committee will have the opportunity to score it. So
Will we have individual applicants doing presentations too?
no, I will be providing the presentation, but the applicants will be present either in person or attending virtually to be there to answer any questions.
Will it be at our regular April meeting then?
Yes.
Should we plan? And we should probably plan on carving out more time than normal.
Probably, maybe, yes. If it runs long.
This is a big change, not having the applicants do the presentations. What's the logic?
Yeah, I think maybe Andrew can.
So I think it's important to provide the committee with the same and objective information. And I think the TPA is probably a little bit better suited to provide the same information, the same facts and the same materials to the committee and try to get us in and out of the room in as quickly a time as possible. I'm not sure, and this is probably before my time at the TPA, the decision to make that, but having been involved with other scoring applications for example, recreational trails program and others, that's pretty consistent with how those programs are operated too. Staff make the presentation with the applicants being available for discussion at those programs. So thank you.
And we're scoring during the regular meeting. I know in the past we've had a regular meeting in the morning and then scored later, but we're going to do it all at
if we can try to get it, that, well, it depends on the applications too, like how many we get in. I believe we've had a substantial number of meetings this time around, but we'll know more in March, once we receive all the applications, if we need to schedule an afternoon meeting as well to have either extra time or, if we can try to accomplish it in one morning, we'll
Well,
let you know.
and what I was gonna urge everybody is on for their April meeting, just clear your afternoon. And that way, if we have to score, because if you leave halfway through the presentations, you can't score. You can't score two and then be absent for the last